button, bro.
Oh, sorry. Clothes are so confusing.
There you go.
Do I need to wrap around or anything? Okay.
I'm going to lay this on the floor.
Okay.
Don't step on it.
Try not to. Am I still going to do that interview with Madison?
All right, 5.
Queen Elizabeth's state funeral may be thousands of miles away, but people in Athens weigh in on what it means to them. Stacey Abrams stopped by the classic city on her campaign trail this weekend for a labor rally. And later, how social media brings awareness to pets who are in overflowing shelters. All this and more on Grady Newsource.
Their importance is going to continue.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Good evening. I'm Wynn Andrews, and welcome to Grady Newsource. We begin today's show with Queen Elizabeth's state funeral, which took place today at London's Westminster Abbey. The late Queen's closest family members were in attendance, as well as many world leaders and hundreds of thousands of people. While the funeral took place over 4,000 miles away from Athens, local residents were tuning in. Here's what they think of the future of the royal family.
Their importance is going to continue to dwindle, I think, in my opinion. There are people who still are really interested in their day-to-day lives, but I do think that's kind of dying off. A lot of people my age and younger and everything seem to have less of an interest than my parents' generation.
I mean, I don't think Charles will be nearly as popular as she is or was. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I know that there's probably going to be a little bit of unrest. And who knows about the future of the monarchy? We'll see.
When asked in a 60 Minutes interview on Sunday if he would send U.S. forces to defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion, President Joe Biden answered, quote, yes. In fact, if there wasn't an unprecedented attack. There is a much more direct approach than how the U.S. has traditionally handled Chinese policy. Audrey Haynes, a UGA Associate Professor of Political Science, believes this move may be focused on a larger diplomatic impact.
Democrats in general have really taken up the pro-democracy messaging. And so part of his response may be in that context that, on the bigger picture, it's not just about Taiwan, it's how America is viewed in the world and our global standing. And this real belief that if democracies don't stand up against authoritarian regimes, then we're in trouble in terms of maintaining our movement towards democracy.
Professor Haynes went on to state that she does not believe that this will lead to an actual conflict. In local news, many students who signed leases at the William Athens are still waiting for development to finish and now need assistance for alternative housing. Grady Newsource reporter Justin Nimitz explains how supply chain issues are to blame.
Across from Finley Street, the William Athens is still under construction, a student housing project where over 300 students signed a lease. With initial completion in July, the William released a statement on September 14th saying that they are still in development due to supply chain issues, giving signers the option to terminate the lease or receive compensation for alternative housing. The Hilton on East Washington Street and North Thomas Street was one of the many hotels where these students can stay during construction. However, on September 17th, the William could not afford to keep these students any longer. Parents, like Kate Vernon, are distressed for their kids.
He's living on a friend's floor right now on an inflatable mattress. We haven't been able to find anything. I found a couple of Airbnbs that he could use temporarily, but they're blocked off for football weekend, so he would have to jump from Airbnb.
Professor Martin Parker explains how a worldwide shortage can hit a project like the William.
So many of the things that go into an apartment complex like the William are imported, like imported sinks and faucets and lights.
Vernon is skeptical of the William completing anytime soon.
We don't believe that it's only going to be a month delay. We believe it's going to be quite a bit longer. And we can't find anything else, except there's a couple of rentals I found that may be available in December. That's a long time to sleep on the floor.
Justin Nimitz, Grady Newsource.
Gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams and other Democrats teamed up with a local labor union in Athens. Grady Newsource reporter Harper Blankenship explains the importance of the Southern labor movement for candidates this fall.
Democratic candidate for governor Stacey Abrams joined other Classic City Democrats at a United College Workers rally in College Square this past weekend. She joined them in fighting for higher minimum wages and a better workplace environment. Recently resigned, Athens Clark County Commissioner Mariah Parker was among the other guests. Now a union organizer with Raise Up the South, Parker kicked off a new chapter in her political career, advocating for unions.
Cause we providing the child care, we the baggage handlers, we care for your elders, we security, we janitors, we making the campus work, stacking hamburgers, and now we standing up cause every worker on the planet Earth deserves to really thrive with a union for all.
Georgia political expert Bill Crane says union events like these are important for Democrats because union workers often serve to help get out the vote in election cycles like this one.
They're charged with voter turnout, doing things like providing van pools and getting workers to the polls during advance voting and on election day, and they are one of sort of the backbones, if you will, of the Democratic National Committee.
Crane says that despite a few labor wins nationally, labor union membership as a whole is down, and that the Southern labor movement hasn't made much progress. This map from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows union membership rates across the United States. You'll see Georgia is near the bottom at 4.8%. That low participation rate is due largely to the fact that the Peach State is also a right-to-work state, which means joining a union is not mandatory, but makes forming unions and collective bargaining more difficult. This chart from the Economic Policy Institute connects falling union membership rates to growing income inequality over time. In 2019, income disparities neared at an all-time high, while membership faced an all-time low. In the 1950s, income equality was around its lowest mark when unions peaked in popularity. For Grady Newsource, I'm Harper Blankenship.
As elections approach, Madison County is looking to ease the stress of voters and instill confidence in the community. Grady Newsource reporter James Rogers speaks with the Board of Elections members to learn what they're doing to accomplish this.
As senatorial elections approach in Georgia, citizens in Madison County are getting ready to vote, and the Board of Elections is preparing for their. Over the past several years, voters' confidence in elections has gone down. This effect has trickled down to even the county level in Georgia. At Madison County, the chairwoman and her staff hope to ease some of the stress and answer questions the public may have.
My name is Tracy Dean. I'm the chairperson of the Board of Elections for Madison County.
Dean has worked with the Madison County Board of Elections for over 25 years and has suggestions for those concerned with the upcoming elections.
My focus is to let all the voters in the county, or not only voters but anybody, any resident of the county, that our office door is always open, and that if they ever have any questions, I encourage them to come to us to ask these questions, not go to social media or some other form, but we're always here for them.
One of the larger problems she and her staff face, though, is the training of volunteer poll workers who will assist residents on Election Day.
Making sure that we have enough poll workers and that they're trained.
They're ready to be trained, they're eager to work, so it's not too hard. We have had some retire.
Those volunteers will have to assist voters in polling rooms like this and will oversee the collection of ballots according to state and federal collection requirements. And they both recommend this to voters who are unsure or uncomfortable.
Every vote counts. I can assure you that every vote will count.
Well, your vote 100% counts.
From Madison County, James Rogers, Grady Newsource.
Madison County and other communities are also in the middle of a housing crisis. There are simply not enough affordable homes. Grady Newsource reporter Aria Circa with more.
For sale signs sit in front of houses and land, but can the average worker afford it? Madison County, as well as many other communities, are facing a significant increase in housing prices. In Georgia, the average price of a home is almost 6 times the median income, with houses being almost double what they costed 2 years ago.
And these were slab homes on concrete, no crawl space. They were vinyl sided. And in my head, those homes should have been $149, which would have been starter homes. Problem was they sold for $249 as fast as these guys could build them.
Even if people could buy or rent a home at the higher cost, County Commissioner Todd Higdon says that there are not even available homes in the county.
So there's nothing to buy, there's nothing for sale, and there's nothing for rent.
The demand for homes is high in Madison County. However, Tim Seymour, rental homeowner and construction business owner, says that there are many residents and leaders that want to keep the county rural.
The demand is there, but the participation in the majority of the county is not there. They don't have the desire to have affordable housing built in Madison County.
This lack of affordable housing in Madison is making it hard on college graduates with a starting salary to find a home on their own.
For a child that grew up in Madison County, went through the school system, went on to college, got a job, wanted to live in the area that they grew up in, it would be almost impossible.
While it is difficult now, Madison is putting together a comprehensive plan to promote balanced growth in the county. Visit www.madison-compplan.com for more information on how to have a voice in your community. This is Aria Circa, Grady Newsource.
Up next, a Jackson County High School unveiled their new turf field ahead of their first home game this season. All of this and more when we come back.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far. A place that I call home. I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna. It only takes a spark to make a fire start. Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Your home before sunrise. On top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
A school in Jackson County showcased their brand new turf field by putting on an unveiling celebration before their football game this past Friday. Grady Newsource reporter Nicole Norvell has the details.
Since June, East Jackson Comprehensive High School's sports field has been undergoing a complete redesign to keep up with advancements in technology as more and more schools transition to turf fields.
And the technology nowadays is so much more efficient and better for our athletes out there, so you don't have to worry quite as much as injuries and different things that used to be associated with the old type of turf.
Students and the community alike have anticipated the improved turf field, as East Jackson's sister school, Jackson County High School, has the turf installed as well. After months of construction, this brand new turf field behind me is complete and ready for use by the school sports teams. To showcase the field's new look, the school put on an unveiling celebration before their first home game of the season, Friday evening.
From a coaching standpoint, it's great because if we tell kids to line up on the hash or the numbers, they know exactly where that location is.
I think it's a good thing. I mean, all these other schools are doing it, and I think it's a good thing that we're finally doing it.
Even though the football team is taking full advantage of the new turf, the field will be most useful for the spring sports coming in the months to follow. Nicole Norvell, Grady Newsource.
Bouncy houses, snow cones, and Civil War reenactments? Newsource reporter Riley Roberts tells us how these all come together to preserve the history of Jackson County.
Hurricane Shoals Park welcomed family and friends alike to enjoy bouncy houses, fresh food, and the rolling river. These guests may be benefiting from the equipment of today, but take a quick walk through this tunnel and you'll find yourself traveling to a time before kettle corn. The festival is a fundraiser for Heritage Village, where buildings that would be demolished or otherwise lost to time find refuge.
People throw history away like it's trash. It's not. It's not trash. It's what made us who we are today.
Actors were throughout the village to explain the history and importance of each building. They hope to encapsulate the day-to-day life of people who actually lived in them.
I think it's important to know where we came from, who was before us, what their values were, and how their lives impact our lives today. This place is just a wonderful place to come out and kind of relax and enjoy nature. So, and of course, right now it helps that there's good food.
Riley Roberts, Grady Newsource.
The City of Statham's annual Sunflower Festival is the largest one yet, which means more proceeds for the city. Grady Newsource reporter Mary Lou Masters takes us around the celebrations.
The Statham Sunflower Festival is still going strong as they celebrate their 23rd year. Betty Lyle, the festival's coordinator, tells us how this year is different.
And it gets bigger every year. This year it outdone its own self. So we ran out of spots and we kept adding and adding. And in fact, I added a spot this morning and let a guy in because he was a local. He lived here.
This year, the festival has 217 vendors, making it the largest they've ever had. The family-friendly event had plenty to keep kids busy. Virginia Cooper, a loyal patron, has been to every single Sunflower Festival.
I love to see all the stuff that the people make here because they're so talented. And the beautiful cars that they have at the car show are unbelievable.
Tony Bolden, a vendor at the festival, creates and sells her own jewelry.
I make jewelry. I've been doing it for about 13 years, off and on, so I've slowly been getting a little bit better at it.
Other vendors sold everything from soap to bags to antiques to food. The festival serves as a means of contributing back to the community later on in the year, such as providing food during the holidays and building benches, parks, and fountains.
At Christmas, we're subject to do from 200 to 250 food boxes.
The boxes will be available to anyone who needs it. For Grady Newsource, this is Mary Lou Masters.
Coming up, fall is right around the corner, but the temperature will resemble more summer weather.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers, he connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I think I finally found. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I
I think I finally found a place to make my own, a place that I call home, this place that I call home.
I'm Michael Doty, and this is your Grady Newsource weather update. So looking at today's temperature here, a high of 89, low of 66. The sun will be shining today, and it is going to be shining throughout the rest of the week. We look at Tuesday and Wednesday here, highs getting back into the 90s, so that summer weather isn't going away anytime soon here. And Thursday, the first day of autumn, high of 94 with a low of 62. It's going to cool off later that night as we go into Friday here with a high of 81 and a low back into the upper 50s. So for anyone who may be going out that night, I would suggest bundling up. Now, these temperatures are a bit abnormal for this time of year, so I spoke with the University of Georgia's Atmospheric Sciences Department, Pam Knox, and this is what she had to say.
We do have frequent heat waves this time of year because we have this nice sunny weather and pretty dry conditions as we're having here. And that, of course, means that the sun comes in and heats everything up.
Knox did say for anyone who may be working outside on Thursday or going for a run, hydrate and try to do stuff in the shade. Now, we may be experiencing some warm and sunny temperatures here, but it's a different story in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic as Hurricane Fiona wiped through both countries on Monday morning, experiencing some heavy rainfall along with some life-threatening and catastrophic flooding with landslides and mudslides. It is going to get stronger as it moves northwards towards Turks and Caicos, then downgrade to about a tropical storm once it hits the Bahamas. But thankfully, as we could see by this path right here, it isn't expected to go anywhere near Georgia or the United States in general. So for anyone who's in the path of Fiona, try and stay safe. I'm Michael Doty, and this has been your Grady Newsource weather update. Coming up on sports, we'll learn about a high-profile Atlanta Falcon facing injury and all things Georgia football.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad. Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Good evening. I'm Aubrey Granzo with your Grady Newsource Sports. The Atlanta Braves moved to 4th place in the MLB Power Rankings this week. After sweeping the Phillies this weekend, the Braves face off the Washington Nationals tonight. Healing from a broken left foot, second baseman Ozzie Albies returned to the plate this weekend. Albies now suffers a broken pinky and will be out for the remainder of the season. It is up in the air if he will be returning for the postseason in the event that the team advances to the World Series, though the Braves remain hopeful. Seeking redemption, the Atlanta Falcons head to Washington to go head-to-head against the Seattle Seahawks this Sunday. Over in Athens, the UGA women's soccer team is up against the South Carolina Gamecocks Thursday. Leading into the weekend, UGA football battles Kent State Saturday here in Sanford Stadium. With a noon kickoff, the team hopes to retain its first-place NCAA ranking in college football. That's all for sports today. From Grady Newsource, this is Aubrey Granzo.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
You're home before sunrise, on top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight, both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back, because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Starting today, Grady Newsource will introduce a different way of reporting the news, known as solutions journalism. While we will continue to cover problems in our community, we will have one story each day covering what is being done about them. We're excited to have Grady Newsource reporter Madison Harwell, who has the first story. Madison, welcome. What is the first story about?
So I investigated and reported on the current overflow of animals at Barrow County Animal Control. In this case, volunteers have completely taken over Facebook and are dedicated to getting the news out about these animals every week, especially now with the overflow. Because of this, nearly 50% of all foot traffic at the shelter derives from Facebook.
Pet adoption was at an all-time high during the COVID-19 pandemic, according to Barrow County Animal Control. But now they are facing an overflow.
Dogs just keep coming in. They just won't. From where I was 3 years ago to now, our shelter, I think, has been the most full that I've seen.
Years ago, these volunteers came together to create a social media presence for the shelter. Now battling this overflow, they are more dedicated than ever to updating pet profiles weekly.
I get all of the new dogs who have come in over the past week, and I take those dogs out, take them for a walk, take their photos, get to know them a little bit, make a collage, and then we post those to Facebook.
Go under to photos, and there's a current available list.
That's important, is to keep a presence out there and to be consistent with that, as well as giving them a name, trying to make them have a personality.
I would zoom in for a cutie one. You see how she has her tongue out like that?
Yeah.
About 50% of all walk-ins hear about these pets through Facebook, according to the shelter. The volunteers' presence on Facebook has led to many successful adoption stories.
I send things to people now that I know that are looking for dogs, and actually one of her friends' mother adopted 2 dogs from up here, and then she brought her friend up who adopted a dog from up here, all because of me forwarding the Facebook thing to her.
The challenge for shelters looking to implement this approach is depending on volunteers to show up and run the social media accounts. Yet this solution seems to be the answer, according to Kaylin.
Open up the social media for the, shelters. It's the biggest way, because right now with the way the economy's going, everybody's inundated. I mean, anything like that could help save an animal's life.
Grady Newsource, Madison Harwell.
Thank you, Madison. That is all we have today, but until next time, I'm Wynn Andrews.
I'm Madison Harwell.
And thank you for joining us.
Girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too
Sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
You know, a lot of people say, when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. And I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
There is a road laid out for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Leading down to the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
What do you think?
I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free, take me down to the river and walk.
Darby, I'm the SPM. You guys know me. Thank you so much for a great show. Good job, Gabby, Done. Just some notes from the tech team. We had an issue like 5 minutes before show where one of our microphones just kind of crapped out something. So apologies for like any stress on our end. We got it worked out. Had a few mishaps with our TriCaster. We're getting used to it. But I think other than that, we did pretty good. We got everything in before 5, so that was good. But yeah, still like keep remembering to like turn stuff in by like 4:30 and just communicating when stuff is getting in. But yeah, overall, a lot better than last week. So good job, guys.
Okay, so our intrepid EP Donay will start with you and then turn it over to our other intrepid leaders and Gabby, our producer.
Okay, hi everyone. I just want to say overall, I think everything came together really well today. I think that we did have a lot more Like, I feel like we normally have done this a little further into the semester, where the whole, after we had our meeting at 9 o'clock, we were kind of just like, okay, we're going to scrap this, move this here, and kind of like looking at the bulletin board that is our show, like moving a lot of things off that we originally had planned and kind of pivoting and making it work. As far as going with the recent news, obviously the biggest story in the world is the Queen, and kind of the way that, you know, to your credit of going out and getting those interviews kind of last minute, that was really great. And still kind of everyone maintaining communication as far as like how they're doing. I think that went really well as well. As far as getting everything in, we had, for the most part, everybody got everything into the right place. I think everybody's getting a little bit more used to Rundown Creator and how to, you know, put your files in the right spot so that the TriCaster can access them. So that's going great. My biggest note last week was to make sure that we pay attention to our audio levels, so that there's not our quote or our soundbite is coming in at this level and then we're coming in way up here. And I think that across the board we did a phenomenal job of changing that.
There was a little uneven,
a little bit,
yes.
But like it was nowhere near as bad as it was like last week. So overall,
major progress.
Exactly. Yes. So I think that that's really my biggest point. But props to everybody. Congrats. I think we need to give a round of applause to both Wynn and Madison for everything that they did.
Yeah, it was a historic moment, and as I mentioned before, the mic wasn't working for the benefit of those wonderful people who watch us. Hello, everyone, and we are really, really grateful you watch us if you're still watching us. But we had a historic moment at the end of the show, and I took some pictures. I'm going to proudly tweet that out. And Maddie, I have to look at your package, but we started strong thanks to you, and I could tell how excited you've been from the very beginning that you found this story, and I'm really proud of what you did, and I'm glad that you started us off strong, and you were ad-libbing, and you had your notes, and that's really important here in the sandbox to learn how to ad-lib. And I know you were shaking a little, but you didn't show it on air. So and I, Sarah, I thought that those sound bites were really good. You had gotten some very interesting people to talk to you about the Queen, and very well. Those butted sods came together very well, and it gave us variety, because Donae asked me early today, and a very valid question. She said, Professor V, how are we going to fill a show when we only have X amount of MMJs and packages? And so we talked about, and it was a great question, because we talked about how you don't need to package everything. You can, and you need that variety, and you need to pivot off the top news of the day. And you guys did such a phenomenal job, because, on our second live show, we started with a major international story, which was localized, and I'm really proud of your ambition and how you pulled it off, and how you went and you got the Biden-Taiwan story, because you guys rightfully figured out that it's really relevant. And Jim, you brought that to our attention as well, the Biden, because there are a lot of military families who would be wondering if there's a change in our policy towards Taiwan, and China was not happy at all with what Biden said. So very well done. But anyway, I said I'm not going to talk that much. I want you guys to talk. And over to you, Gabby.
I don't have that much
producer.
to say. I think we all did really good today. I would just say one piece of advice for future producers is to always come into the newsroom with a lot of content, because we had the issue today of having too much and having to float some things or rearrange that. And that's definitely an easier problem than not having enough. So that would be the only thing I really have to say. But other than that, I think it went pretty well. Just getting things on time and communicating with that is a big thing too. But yeah.
All right, Sarah, do you want to, from your point of view? So
that
Sarah's
much
our
to
assignment editor
say.
today.
I would say the biggest thing for people who are working any of these positions is just to communicate your time really well. We were all really good about communicating and able to manage a time where we could go out and those sound bites get interviews. So I think that's probably the most important thing, is just kind of make the most of what you're doing. And there were a lot of times where Gabby was doing a lot of things, and I feel like I should have kind of been better about asking you if you needed help with stuff, because So just, I guess, to the next assignment editor, just make sure, just keep asking your producers if they need help, if they need you to cover something. So, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, and pass on that document with the log to the next producer, so we have some backups and also the kinds of things we don't miss stories looking ahead to the next, even to Wednesday or the next week. That'll be very valuable. And I didn't have a chance to take a look at it today, but I will just kind of to see what, I'm curious to see. I haven't seen how it looks and whether, I don't know if you're using that sheet I gave you. I'm not sure if it works with you guys from my capstone, that agile thing. I'm not sure. But so far, so good. And so, Ben, do you want to share from your point of view? How did we do? Did you get enough digital content, and how?
We got a good amount of digital content, not as much as the last week, but I think a lot of that could also falls on me. I mean, one thing about this position is you don't want to take it for granted, because, I mean, I've been stressed all day today, but it's been like a fun type of stress. Once you get that first post out, it's a good thing because it just gets you going for the rest of the day. It's weird. Out of everyone in this room right now, the digital producer's on a different schedule than everyone else. Like, digital never stops. MMJs, you have to have your packages in by 4:30. I mean, producers, you're always running until the show starts and until the show ends. But, like, digital never stops. So, like, right now I'm working on a final post from one of the packages, and hopefully I can get that in.
Did everybody deliver some kind of element to you by noon, be it a stand-up or some B-roll or memorable soundbite? Did you get content from all the MMJs?
I did. Noon? I got content from most of the MMJs. I know today was a little different because a lot of y'all were getting in later than noon. Like, some of you were coming from Jackson County, some of you were coming from Barrow County. So, like, the noon deadline wasn't met by most, but I did get content in from most MMJs, and I was able to work with it. And that's another thing, kind of advice I'd give is, don't prioritize based on the posts that you want to post. Prioritize based on the MMJs that get to you first. So, like Justin got to me before any other MMJ, and I should have prioritized his content before I did anyone else. I don't think he's here right now. I don't know.
Yeah, he went to a meeting in Jackson County, so he had to get to a meeting at 6 o'clock in Jackson County, which is quite a long drive. So I let him go earlier because he needed to get to the meeting and get some B-roll and things like that. Yeah.
But yeah, I had my own list of like how I wanted to do the post, but it didn't necessarily correlate with what time I got the content in by, so I had to rearrange a little bit. So I guess for future digital producers, I'd be more aware of that. I should have, like right now I'm working on Justin's content, and I should have prioritized it earlier. But instead, we did get a Grady Daily today, so that was good. We got that up on a couple of different platforms, so thank you, Win. We had Mary Lou. I mean, she got her content in on time. She had a package made for me, a little small clip. We got that in on social media, and we were able to make a website article about it, which Dr. Bright was telling me, which is huge. So if you're a digital producer, definitely look to do that because that's where you get like your most engagement. But yeah, I'd say for the future, be a little bit more of a stickler when it comes to getting these MMJs and their content in if you're the digital producer.
Some good points there. All right, guys. So Win and Maddie, would you like to share anything from your point of view, and also the EP and the assignment there, the whole leadership team, make sure that your anchor knows that they're anchored, that you have all your ducks in a row. That is part of, making sure, especially, when you're a producer, you need to have an anchor, right? So make sure that everybody knows Win sort of misread the schedule and thought that he was an MMJ when he was an anchor. I'm glad that he's back to this because this was your only chance to anchor, and I could tell you were enjoying it. And so give us a few thoughts before we. Maddie, I'm sorry, I didn't see you were holding them.
Despite the schedule, whatever, I think Win set the bar very high for any future anchors, and it's made me a little nervous. But you did a really great job today. I think if you ever did mess up, like, none of us could have seen. I feel like I owe Ben an apology because I was not as present today with my digital component. And I think I sent you some B-roll, but usually I'm like, stand up, like whatever you need. And I was not like that today because I think I got flustered at one point about trying to get the sojo together. So I'm sorry about that. But
yeah, I mean, this was not easy for you, Maddie. I know how hard you worked and how I really appreciate your enthusiasm from the very start, and how hard you worked and everything you put into it, and the fact that you ad-libbed right now. This was our first story, and tell people, they will be now doing Sojo stories, and it's not your regular stories. So if you were to share some wisdom,
Right.
some advice with everybody else who's going
honestly,
to be following in your footsteps.
When I tried to look for ideas, I tried to look at some examples, and it's hard to kind of go off that and try to find your own. Like, literally mine, I stumbled on doing a stand-up. Like, just ended up talking to one of the volunteers, and I mean, even now there's 10 more stories I could do about different event. Like, whoever Mary Lou is doing schools in Barrow County, like literally they just started Connection. One of the school's third graders is like coloring pictures of all the dogs that are available for adoption at the shelter. Like, there's so much going on there that I had no idea about. The solution that they're implementing during the overcrowding. So for anyone else that's doing Sojo, I would say just try to keep your ears open every day, like your MMJ or anything, because the story could come about from literally just random person off the street.
Talk to people, to your contacts. That's the most important thing, because you'll be missing a lot of gems, a lot of things that will look good on your portfolio.
I would say, like, I mean, it got stressful later on, but early on I was excited about doing this story because I felt like we're all new to this. So most of our content is coming from other platforms that have already spoken about it. But I was excited to learn about this because it's not anywhere else. So I know it was a little scary, but if you can try to find one that no one else has done, I think it almost makes it more fun and interesting. So, yeah.
Well done, well done. And Win, I'm so glad you got to anchor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It almost didn't happen because we've been going back and forth all weekend. But
yes,
I'm
fun
glad
times.
that you got, because I was just thinking, you will lose your only chance to anchor. And I was even looking at the schedule if I could do something and have Harper anchor today and you anchor, just kind of give you that chance. And I'm glad it worked out. So
I'm very glad it did. But first off, you did a great job as well, because I'm terrified for my Sojo story. So, I mean, that's a really great foot forward. And
you have a good pitch. Yeah,
I do. I feel good about it. I feel good about it. So,
but still be terrified because
it's a big story. Big story. So
if you want to be terrified, be terrified.
Hey, exactly. Now I'll be okay.
The outcome is important.
Exactly. Exactly.
For all that terror.
Right. But first off, good job, guys. I mean, I really think it was a great show today. Flowed well for the most part about everything. And, my job as an anchor once I'm out there is about the easiest thing you could do. And in my opinion, I love it. And it's so easy to be able to carry from story to story because y'all made it flow so well. And so that really, I'd just like to, thank everyone who's helped me today, even from like the start with the Grady Daily, especially getting off to a very, very late start. Sorry, guys. That was on me. I was very under the weather all weekend and wasn't really sure if I'd even be here today. And then I'm glad I joined the pitch meeting just to be there. And that, I think it worked out well. I feel that we got a lot done. Shout out to Ben for, being patient and getting everything sent out through for Grady Daily. And, just overall great effort by everybody because I was really impressed, made my job easier than anything.
Yeah, I will look at everybody's, but you looked very comfortable, and you looked like you were enjoying. Some I could tell that were very conversational. I could see how your performance improved it, and I could see how you were enjoying, a well-written lead, which was conversational. And we'll work on that, all of you are on different levels. That's why I keep coming to you and saying, tell me how you would explain this to your mom or a friend. And that's when you guys come up with the lead. That's conversational, that's interesting. So we'll keep working on that. We've got a whole semester, and we've got amazing people to work with. Thank you, Wynn. So let's pass it on to, I have a suggestion for you. You could have brought up that Fiona thing, the graphic earlier on, and you smiled more, but smile a little more. I like the way you changed the expression and everything, Aria. Your work was also good, but I have to see everything, without, expressing opinions, without having seen everybody's work, and come up with a little for all of you to build you up. Let's hear from the rest of you. You watched the show. I saw a few missing lower thirds and stuff like that. I don't know what you guys saw that we did really well, or that was missing that we need to pay attention to. It's over to you guys. I don't want to point, but we need to get some other opinions from our audience.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I noticed from today's show is just when you're doing those lower thirds, double check them and make sure they're correct. I don't want to accuse Madison. I think, assuming it was, say, K9.
Yeah, it's really important. Just little things like that can. Oh.
That was a really good point, Michael. Yeah, just checking your lower thirds, making sure everything's spell check. I think I even asked today, I was like, I'm so anxious for this. I've watched it like 3 times. Can one of y'all look at it for me too? But it made me feel better, so.
Yeah, I was, I had to ask her.
These details are really important, and they're easy fixes. We just need to pay more attention to those little things, which kind of look unprofessional, and they're just little things, and they can be fixed. Okay, so who else will go next? Want to hear, Riley? Do you want to? You had quite a day today, and you had written.
I want to say, like, you can ask, I literally was like, he killed that lead. You could not have read that better. But it was a weird one to throw on you also. But you really did kill it. Yes, I did have a weird day. I was told to pivot towards a story, and for the first, from literally like 10:30 until 2 p.m., I was out and about calling, emailing, and just showing up to, I think I went to like 4 different law offices, the district attorney, county clerk, sorority, everywhere. And couldn't really get that many people to talk about me. A lot of people were busy. They are lawyers. They're out. And those that could talk to me, there's stipulations on what they could say. It was an emotional story. A lot of people weren't willing to
talk about it. So after that, I tried to stay in contact with the leadership team, get advice where I could. A lot of people don't want to talk to student reporters, is just kind of what it chopped up to be too. So that's fine. Came back. Leadership team was great and like keeping me updated as well as me keeping them updated. They said, actually, you're just going to run your package. I did end up getting a soundbite. It was floated, couldn't have been used because of, again, stipulations. So came in, fixed up a package, got it out. Definitely saw things I could do better if I had had more time, but you know what, we don't. That's what working in the newsroom is figuring it out. So.
It's doing your best, and it's all teamwork, as you say. Everybody was sort of helping each other out and brainstorming things, and on a very ambitious show, very ambitious, yeah. So, Mary Lou, Aria, anybody wants to say something that you learned today, that you struggled with, or that you want to share?
So I did one of those day turnaround packages. It was stressful. I went this morning and I was supposed to have an interview at 10, but she canceled on me like right when I got to Madison. So I drove around for a solid 2 hours until my 11 o'clock meeting or interview to find a for sale sign. I just kept driving around. I think I know the entire Madison County by now. But then I had the interview at 11, met him at his office, but he was 30 minutes late. So that's why I got here late. Then by the time I got here, I only had 45 minutes to write my script. Got that in, and then I started my package. So it was a stressful day. It was way more relieving when I finished it, and it was in by 4:30. So it kind of felt good to be able to do something that fast, even though it probably wasn't the best I could have done. But it felt good.
Should feel good about it because you're learning so much and nothing else can scare you now. When you go in the real world, you know you can do it. You've done that. Yeah, so anybody else wants to share a story like that? What you learned? Okay, it's 6 o'clock. I know everybody's tired. Thank you, guys. I am really, really impressed with you. Can't wait to see what you will achieve by the end of this semester if you are doing Taiwan and Queen and all that stuff on your second. And it's really relevant. It's not like, I just want to do Taiwan, but thinking that it's, it's why it's relevant and how do we, and the fact that we need packages, but we also need variety, and some stories need not be packaged, and there could be Q&A, and there could be interview slots, and things like that. Did you want to say something? Oh, okay. All right, guys, go get some well-deserved rest, and let's do it again on Wednesday.